Welcome to the next session of our digital marketing. In this session, I'm going to teach you about the concept of web hosting. In our last session, I have explained you about what is the concept of website, what is the concept of domain, how many types of websites we have in real time, and in this session we are going to study about the concept of how many types of hosting is there and why do we really need the hosting package. So our today's agenda for the class would be what is web hosting, how do we choose a web hosting in real time, and then types of web hosting packages, and then connecting domain with hosting. So these three topics step by step I'm going to cover in our today's class. So let's begin our topic. So what is web hosting? What is the definition of web hosting? So you can say in simple terms the definition of a web hosting, or in terms what is web hosting is. You see, to store files of our website, to store content, to store images, to store videos or emails, whatever we have. So every domain name will require a space where it can store all the information. So web hosting is nothing but a server where all the website files and information databases are going to be stored, so that anytime in future if any user comes to the website and try to access anything, automatically the web hosting will provide that access to the user. In other words, if you think about this way, I have purchased a SIM card. I have purchased a SIM card and I have not purchased a mobile phone. So what is the problem here? If I don't have a mobile phone, the SIM card won't work. The SIM card is a number. In the same way, domain is also a name. It's not going to be active immediately. It's a name. So make it activated. To make it visible to public, we have to have the concept of a web hosting server. Similar to we need a phone to actually put our SIM card and make it activated. So what are the different things we have to consider while we are buying our web hosting space? So here are the few things which we have to consider. Number one, we have to look at the operating system, whether you want a Linux web hosting server or Windows web hosting server. Now it is decided based on the type of project we are doing. Now for our project we are we will be working on WordPress. So if you see we are working on WordPress, our goal would be to use Linux server only rather than Windows server, because Linux server has a very good support for WordPress and a lot of plugins are already inbuilt. So we prefer to use a Linux server rather than using the Windows. We will be preferring here to use the Linux server. So here the first point we can say is that I would like to go with the Linux server. So I'll just highlight here that we will have two options. One is the Linux and one would be your Windows. So I would be preferring here to go with the Windows with the Linux server. In terms of price also, I will be saving a little bit of price as well, because Windows server are quite little bit expensive compared to the Linux server. Windows are expensive and Linux are bit lower cost. Then the second factor I have to look at is the storage space. Now this is actually a very straightforward aspect. Now let me give you a very simple example of a storage space so you can understand why do we need the storage space concept. So let's see the option C. When I talk about the storage space, while you're buying an iPhone, you will definitely look at the storage of the phone, right? You will look at what is the requirement I have, like is it 32 GB or is it 64 GB, or is it what kind of requirement, right? In the same way, when we do a website, we will look at this factor, that what is the requirement of my space. So you may say I just require like 20 MB or 50 MB, and for your information, any basic WordPress website will work perfectly even if you have 500 MB of space on your server. But generally nowadays we get GBs of data, so and it is pretty cheap comparative to other options. So second aspect you have to consider is the space, and here unlike your iPhone, you can actually increase or decrease your space as per your choice and requirement. So you don't need to get fixed with one specific size. Whenever you want, you can upgrade and downgrade the size. If you take in terms of like Android devices or older devices, we have the extended memory card. In that way, storage anytime you can increase and decrease. Next option we have is bandwidth. You have to look at the bandwidth. How much bandwidth is the company providing? Is it 10 GB? Is it 20 GB? Now bandwidth is nothing but, if suppose I'm accessing your website and some information I'm downloading, that comes under the download. Similarly, I may also upload something. So when all this information is collected together, the data, that is called as a bandwidth data. So the bandwidth data is, the more people will come up to your website, bandwidth will be utilized very fast. So for that reason, we have to control the bandwidth of the website as well. So in general, the bandwidth will be in maybe 10 GB, 20 GB. Mostly you will not face a problem nowadays, but even that one consideration you have to consider. And that is the options we will generally look at. And one more option we have is, okay, databases. Like, what are the databases? How many databases would be there? One database you want or 5 database you want? Based on that also the price will change. And again, here mostly MySQL database will be available in real time. So these are some of the basic things which you have to consider while you are buying the web hosting. So let me just revise again. First thing, look at the Linux server, Linux or Windows. I would say Linux. Then look at the space you require, 1 GB, 10 GB, 20 GB as per your requirement and the project. And number 3, you will look at the aspect of bandwidth of the particular server which you are buying, of the hosting you are buying. And also number 3 would be the aspect of number of databases. And one more important point which I have not mentioned in the slide, in some websites, some hosting provider, they also provide free email IDs also. So in case of Big Rock, they provide five email IDs, which is a very good idea, so that you can have a company email. Whereas some other companies give you email on a separate price. So that also factor please consider when you are looking for email, looking for hosting. Check whether the company will provide the hosting as well or not. So these are the basics. So now we want to understand how many types of hostings we have in real time. So if you see in real time perspective, there are 5 types of hosting, and out of these 5 types of hosting, we only use the top 4. The last one is not really for small companies. The last one is used by extremely large corporate companies, and big companies will be going with this last one. We'll come to that point as we progress. So first, what is shared hosting and how do we define shared hosting? Now let's say if you have experience, if you are have been in your student life, you already know that if you take in a college or any particular place, we have a very big space, and which is divided in like a beds point of view, like one big room is given between, shared between 20 or 30 people. Okay, if it is a paid hostel, then it will be very low cost for you to stay, right? So here is the first concept. Shared hosting means on a single server, on a single machine, on a single server rack, hundreds and thousands of websites are created as accounts, separate accounts, virtual accounts, and they are sold to each person separately. So here in shared hosting, the power is very less. You are not going to have the complete power and the features and feasibility. You will have a very less power in this shared hosting, but still, if you have least requirement, you can go with the shared hosting. And also, most of the time shared hostings won't work. If you are getting suddenly some thousands of users on your website, the shared hosting get automatically suspended due to using too many resources on the server. But for a normal website, if you are a small company and you are looking just a way to start your business and want to slowly grow your business, then generally you can go with the share hosting, no problem whatsoever. So first one, multiple sites with thousands of sites would be there, and what would be, and suitable as I said for small businesses, and it will have very limited access to the site, meaning at a given moment of time 100 or 200 people can only access your site. If it increases to higher number, then the site will become very slow and it will become very slow for the users itself, and many times it will not even load as well. And that's the reason the price is also extremely cheap. In some companies, they provide for 1000 rupees. So if you convert 1000 rupees, it would be hardly $15 or so. So it's very cheap per year, $15 per year, not per month. So it's extremely cheap in terms of buying this packages. So shared hosting is the first kind of hosting, wherein we are going to buy a server, buy a small part on a server, wherein we are going to get the access to that server. Again, in this we have single website hosting, multiple website hosting, that I will show you in the practical concept. Now, moving on to the next option, virtual private server. Now, let's assume there's a picture I've given there, and I'll give you an example. Let's assume that we are like 5 or 6 friends together, and we are working in the same company. At that moment, we won't want to be staying in a hostel. Why? Because if I'm paying some X amount to the hostel, instead of paying to the hostel directly, what I can do is I can able to 5 or 6 friends together has collaborated, and they said, okay, we will take a private space or a apartment or something, and we'll share between us so that we have the privacy, we have that control on the space, and we are completely not under anyone. So that way these friends together have joined and they have taken a apartment. Similarly, virtual private server means limited websites on single server where each account will get separate virtual server, virtual machine, meaning like see in this kind of apartment or something, each of the person who is sharing, he will get a separate private place for him, a specific room for him, so that he can keep everything himself, most of the things private. In the same way, in virtual private server, each company will get their own private space on the server, and which will not be shared with anyone at all. The power is also unique to them as well. And in this case, what happens is it is suitable for mid-size, and even if you're doing a blogging with some lakhs of users every month, you have to go with virtual private server. For your information, web trainings is also on virtual server. That's the reason it will not hang so much, or it's not so slow. In the beginning, when I was on shared hosting website, our website used to hang a lot and it was very slow. So we have shifted to the virtual private server. Now, next point here we have to remember is it can support how many users it can support. In general, most of the virtual VPS config, again depending on configuration, price will change. So it will be somewhere around 50,000 visitors a day to 5 lakh per day also virtual private server can handle, and this is the price range somewhere around $2,000, 200 rupees, 2,000 rupees per month, which is approximately maybe $20 or $25 per month, not per year, per month. But here again the price will depend on space, memory, and process. At the practical level, when I show you this process completion of these points, I will show you that aspect as well. Next is a dedicated server. Simple. Let's say I have a family, so I will not stay in a hostel, I will not stay with friends or someone, but I need a separate home or a house for my family. So in that case, it's nothing but dedicated server. So in general, in a dedicated server, one company buy the entire server rack, where they have complete authority on that server segment, and they can do whatever they want to host in terms of under legal obligation, legal conditions they have to follow, but they will be completely owned on this server. It is very powerful and used by big portals which has very heavy traffic, and it is very expensive, somewhere around 4,000 rupees per month, which is like, again you see the price is going higher and higher. $50 it will cost you approximately, I'm telling you, for having one dedicated server, and that is again a monthly pricing structure. So dedicated server also is used, and we can easily able to have minimum, I would say, on a dedicated server, depending on configuration, more than 1 lakh users can easily access without any downtime, without any problem, without any lag in the speed. Easily that can be maintained. Now, one question many students ask, sir, what is the difference between VPS and dedicated server? So what I said, VPS is something where even there are some other companies on the same server, but in dedicated there are no other companies. You are the only company which is hosting that server, which is the owner of that server. So you get complete authority and complete private segment on the server. So for large companies, this is required. And now moving to the next generation of hosting, which is cloud hosting. Now, a good example of cloud hosting I have shown here in a hotel, Taj Mahal Hotel, because basically it's a big hotel, a 5-star hotel. So now the idea is simple. If suppose I'm getting say 5 guests for some kind of meeting, so I will book 5 rooms for them. Now suddenly, 2 more guests came in, and they have, at the last minute or last hour, they have called me and said we are also planning to come. So I can speak to the hotel authorities, and I can say I want extra 2 rooms. If available, they will provide me. And if I see 2 people are not coming and there is a policy of cancellation, then automatically I will speak with them and I will cancel the extra 2, which means I can anytime increase or anytime decrease. And see, that entire space is not used by one or two people, but any person come in and he will go out. Like a guest, he will be there, right? So in cloud hosting, it is a virtual environment for our site on a server where everything is customizable, everything is completely adjustable. You can change the parameters, you can change everything as per your choice and requirement. Whereas in shared hosting, in VPS hosting and dedicated hosting, almost all factors are tied up per month basis. Meaning today you are using $25 package per month. You want to upgrade to $50. Then the moment you upgrade to $50, you have to pay for the entire month, even if your requirement of upgrade was 1 day, but you have to pay for entire month. But in cloud hosting, it is not like that. You can increase your power for 1 day, you can buy for a few hours, you want more computing speed, you can actually do a lot of flexibility is there in cloud hosting. So we can use that option for very nowadays large companies and apps and all, they are using cloud environment only because of this flexibility, and it is fast, fastest way to implement the application. Big companies are also using the cloud hosting itself. Okay, now here is the problem with cloud hosting. A person without any background or without any basic, he will struggle a little bit to understand the settings and some certain backend functionalities, because it's not immediate and not out of the box implementation. Sometimes some coding is also some configuration is required, which has to be taken care by you. And then the price is also pretty cheap. $5 per month is the starting price. But see, I'm talking about the basic. DigitalOcean is offering at $5 per month, but there are, you see, some lakhs and crores of rupees contracts are also there for cloud hosting. So it's not just if one size fits all. No, every client will have different requirement, and cloud will provide that specific requirement for that customer and that consumer. So that is the option. And last one is actually called as data center hosting. Now data center hosting is very simple. You see, it's a very big server, okay, very huge capacity, huge availability, but only one company will be using that entire facility of the computing power. Example of this house, actually this is the house of richest man in India. So this entire house, okay, one family is living in that house, right? It's 27 floors or something, but this is the entire house one family is living. Like in like this, you have a big mansions and all. That is a data center, right? So data center is basically a collection of servers connected together on a very big server. So they're all interconnected servers will be there. And if you Google, you can just right now Google it. After this session, you can check, just type Google data center, Facebook data center. You will be surprised to see how many racks of mainframes are connected, how many servers will be there. It's amazing. So it's not at all for us, it's basically for extremely large corporations, banking companies, and many big corporates only are going to use the data center hosting. So it will cost huge amount of money. It's not like a small company, even they won't even have any fixed price for that. Depending on the customer requirement and all, the cost will be extremely high. So these are the 5 types. Let me go back to this to my slide, and let me revise the discussion again. So we have totally 5 types of hosting. Shared hosting is a good option for small companies to get an your site up quickly. Virtual private server is useful for those companies who have little bit of more users, like maybe 1,000 per day, 10,000 per day, 50,000 per day, 1 lakh per day. If there is a range of users you are expecting, then to get better to go with VPS. And then dedicated hosting is useful for who are getting lakhs of visitors on a daily basis. And cloud hosting can be used by small or big companies and pay as you use the service. And then data center hosting is not at all for normal companies, it's only for extremely big companies. So these are the types of hosting. And where should we buy, what kind of hosting, what are the features available? So here is the options I have given. If you're planning for shared hosting, go with Big Rock. I personally prefer Big Rock, not GoDaddy. GoDaddy is one of the very bad company in terms of hosting and domain. They have a lot of bad policies. I used to host on GoDaddy, which I shifted to Big Rock itself. So Big Rock is one of the best in shared. And then HostGator also offers a lot of good packages, and Airwix. Then in VPS, we are actually on, earlier we were on GoDaddy, now we are on Known Host Server, which is a very good hosting provider. SiteGround is also very good, and InMotion hosting. And if you want dedicated, Then Knownhost will provide you that, Bluehost will provide you that, and also one third company, iPage. And if you're planning for cloud, then you can buy DigitalOcean, you can buy from Amazon Web Services, or you can buy from Liquid Web. Remember, Amazon Web Services is something which is used by a lot of large corporate companies. In fact, as per my recent, I was reading one answer where even Netflix is also available on Amazon Web Services. Well, the most of the content of Netflix is also there on Amazon Web Services. It's a pretty vast. And if you, another example I'll give you, Microsoft have Microsoft Azure, Azure, Microsoft Azure. On that cloud hosting, Flipkart is running. So these are very big companies who run on right now. They are working and they are running their big, huge amount of databases and applications on this cloud services itself. And the leader of the cloud industry is Amazon Web Services. So these are the basic pattern. So now let's go back to the concept of practically, sir, how would I buy a domain name? So very simple. I will explain you in a step-by-step process. So please go to bigrock.in if you are in India, or bigrock.com if you are from US or any other country. According to your target country also, there will be certain hosting providers. You can buy from your local companies also. And one more small point of note here: if you buy hosting from your country where the data center is available in that country, that hosting will be a bit faster than someone buying from USA. Meaning, if I buy from India, a hosting server from India, it will be quick because of the distance lag will not be there. Whereas if I buy from US, there will be a very small lag of will be there between the processing point. Okay, so now let me show you how do we do the shopping. So let's go to hosting. We have Linux and we have Windows. So we can select it and see there are different packages again. Sir, what about this packages, sir? What exactly they do? What is the purpose of this package? If you ask me, the simple thing is these packages which you are right now seeing here. Okay, this is Linux for single website, and there are multiple packages again in that. Let's see what are the packages. So they are offering for Linux hosting. See here, starter package, advanced package, and pro package. Pricing, if you're taking per year basis, $149 rupees per month, and they give you 20 GB space. One website only, we can launch one website, 20 GB, 100 GB, which is pretty good, and free SSL. That's a great thing. Getting a free SSL for the first year is actually very profitable, and 5 emails. But the server is in US. But if you click on India here, then the price will change. You'll get the server location change, switch to Indian hosting. Okay, so here is the price structure. So it has increased by around 50 rupees if you take from India. And then hosting one website advanced means unmetered space means more, here we have a counting limit, but here it will be unmetered means you will have a huge amount of space will be given to you. And then same transfer, see, almost everything is same. And unlimited emails is a good feature here, but this price is somewhere around 299 per month. And pro, and here is what unlimited website. See, unlimited website means if I'm a blogger, I may launch 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 websites I may launch. Rather than buying for separate every domain, every website I want to buy separately a hosting account. Instead of that, some companies use unlimited hosting, wherein we get all that results in one package, and we can launch multiple websites from a single hosting server. Similarly, if you see here, we have also got the cloud hosting mentioned here. Now, one more thing is also there. If you just look at this option, we also have some specialized hosting like WordPress hosting, which is specially developed for WordPress, and they will have more features and more, it will be costly, but at the same time it will be more powerful and most effective for WordPress. But I would say if you are having budget issue, I will ask you to go with Linux shared hosting. But if you have no problem with budget, then see, here is the pricing structure for that. So if you go with the light version, you can only host one WordPress website, which is pretty bad. Okay, one WordPress, two WordPress, three WordPress, five WordPress, but they will be little bit fast. That's only the GB of RAM and all are given. That will be a bit faster, but the price is also on the higher side itself. Similarly, we can buy CMS hosting, we can buy e-commerce hosting as well. All right. So again, one more thing you see Here some companies who are in freelancing business, they will buy reseller hosting. They buy a package from this company and they will resell to their clients. That also is a business model. Similarly, you can see here cloud hosting, again for business and for personal use packages. And then you have VPS hosting, again packages for VPS. See, and here is the pricing. If you take India, so price. If you take USA, some price. And here is the pricing, minimum starting at 650 per month, where you get 2 cores and you get 2 GB RAM and 20 GB SSD card, and then 1 TB of transfer, which is pretty good number. So like this, we can able to find out lot of information, lot of data just from our hosting provider. But I would suggest you have to chat with them and ask some questions and clarify your any doubts you get in the process. You have to clarify. Similarly, we have dedicated hosting also, we can able to buy. You can look at this option. This is a very expensive pricing structure for dedicated hosting. All right, so this is how we can able to see the options. So now if you say, sir, how do I buy and how do I connect my domain name with hosting? So first you go to shared hosting and select the option of I want to buy, select a plan. Do you have a domain name? Yes, you have. If you don't have, you have to buy. Okay, so I will say abcd.com. Continue. We have to remove this useless things. We don't want that. See, yeah, these are all unnecessary things. Please remove them. Okay, just I want 1 month package for so and so option per year. Okay, if you have a coupon code, add a coupon code, you can get discount. For coupon code, just type in Google Big Rock coupon codes. You get a lot of website, you can add coupon. And then in India, we have this extra taxation also. So overall, the price is somewhere around 2,100 per year. It is per year price, not per month. It is a per year price, which is pretty cheap. And you can just say next and sign in and make the payment. And then I become a proud owner of abcd.com hosting, not domain name. I'm not the owner of domain name. I'm only buying the hosting. But anyway, I cannot launch also because I'm not the owner of domain name. So I have to use the domain name which I have as a reference for booking the domain option. So this is the basic structure which we have to follow while working in this concept. So now I want to show you once I buy what I'm going to do. So let me log in, and this is called as the connection of domain with hosting. See this. So I'm now assume I have bought the domain name from Big Rock and hosting from some other company. So remember this point. When I buy the domain, so let me just show in a diagrammatic way so you can just understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's say if you have bought, for example, a domain from Big Rock, okay, and then you have bought hosting from my company. Say my company, you bought hosting. Then when you buy hosting from my company, I will provide you something called as NS1. These are addresses of my server, and NS2. All you have to do is after you get the NS1 and NS2 detail from me in this Big Rock server, in the domain name, you have to enter these two details. And see, as we are doing here, when these two with this domain and hosting are getting connected with the concept of something called as NS1 and NS2 or name servers. So let me show you an example. If I have a lot of domains with me. So let's say I want to connect to this domain. So star event planner.in. Okay, here is the option main servers. So click on name servers. You can give NS1, you can give NS2. So this is provided by your hosting company. When you buy the hosting package, they will only give you the NS1 and NS2. Now, if you are getting any confusion, you can also take help of this hosting or domain company. They will also guide you to do this. And also, this process doesn't apply if domain and hosting are in the same company. They are automatically connected by their internal systems itself. This is how we work with the concept of hosting. So I hope you are very clear about the concept of how many types of hosting are there and how do we connect our domain and hosting. In next session, we are going to study about the concept of how to install the WordPress on our server, how to work on the WordPress, what is the process, step by step we will discuss. Thank you very much.